Well, one of the biggest symbols of religion and spirituality is like the lotus coming out of the, yes?
Yeah.
The lotus coming out of the mud. It's not a denial of the mud. It doesn't get touched. It grows, let's say, it appears, let's say, from the mud, but it's not touched by the mud. So consciousness is available here, but it doesn't get affected by what a reaction is. Yes? The point with most people is they're not, in a sense, they haven't entertained far enough back in a way.
It's like, you're always upstream of it. You're always upstream of everything, because everything is appearing. Everything.
Yes.
Including everything.
Yes.
Feeling, thought, and everything.
Everything.
And what it's appearing on is not you. I mean, not me, not. It's upstream. Yeah?
Yeah.
But you live from that. Is what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't live from that.
No. No.
And that isn't even living in a sense. That's watching being. Yeah, it's watching the being manifesting through this. That's all it's doing. I don't even like the word watcher. It's not even watching because that implies it's doing something. It's just a big, clear reflection. So it's reflecting everything that's appearing in it. Yeah? So the context doesn't, at not one point does it ever enter the content as an object. It's always the subjectivity. We're an object, well, we aren't, but the language. The language is a subjective language used by objects. We're objects, but we talk as if we're subjects. That's the difficulty with language, yes? And expressing anything. Because the dilemma, let's say the paradigm of the problem's right in place, the way you speak, the way you know something by language is part of the dilemma in a way, because it's all based on subjectivity. This is an object. Yeah? This is an object that something is sort of witnessing. But we don't sense that as us, yeah? Because we're identified as this. So now, even when we sense the witnessing, we still believe, and the mind still believes it's a me sensing the witnessing. Yeah? There's just that. There's no me at all. And the persistence of the mind trying to write itself into the story is what I think you were sharing last night a little bit.
Sort of.
Yeah.
But not quite, because it's like, if I do it, because you've only really got yourself to investigate, you've only really got, the modus operandi is this shit. But you've only really got that with which to investigate. And so, if I look, I can see that it's what it is, that it's bullshit, that it's just stuff, that everything's just stuff, including this voice and my thought and my feeling. And then it's clear. But it doesn't, then it goes and I get back into it. You forget. It's like you said,
Hi.
Hello. What is this?
Again, the idea of that you forgetting.
No, I know. But he said, like the backbeat of things was fear. See, that's not the case anymore. Right?
Yes.
Because all that was required was for you to see it.
Yes.
For it to be, yeah.
Yes.
We have to speak about it for you to see it.
Yes. Yeah. But
And then it stopped. And then all that self-centered stuff stopped, even though you say you still couldn't.
It didn't stop, but what occurred was the emphasis shifted from there to something I would say nebulous. It's
permanently.
Well, the thing is, the shift isn't permanently. What you find is that's permanent. Yeah? The idea of a shift becoming permanently is also in the content.
Yeah.
The sense that happened, is there's a permanence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that permanence outshines things that arise and depart.
Still do.
Yes.
It's the same, but not quite the same, because
Of course it's not quite the same.
it's much better. The actual stuff that materializes is actually much better than the shit that materialized before.
The dream gets happier.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I mean.
The dream gets happier. Yeah. It's like the Course in Miracles has a beautiful statement. I'm paraphrasing it, but it would say that basically all's awakeness. Yeah, there's no problem with that. But there's a dream going on. Yeah, you seem to be in this dream. So we're the dreamer of this dream. And what we're going to do, what's going to happen here, and when we say we, it doesn't imply what we mean. It's just language. What's going to happen here is we're going to dream ourselves out of the dream. Yeah. And as you're dreaming yourself out of the dream, which at the moment of birth, you've been dreaming yourself out of the dream, because the dream has like an egg cooker timer. Yeah, you're gonna pass away as this, right? So you're dreaming yourself out of the dream. As you're dreaming yourself out of the dream will get happier. Yeah, because as you're dreaming yourself out of the dream, the emphasis on the dream objects will slowly or quickly move out of the foreground, move to the background, and then the dreamer quality will be more emphasized. Yes? So the dream gets happier. Yeah. In a lot of different ways. Like for me in the past, if I forgot my keys, I would really forget them. The car would be on and they'd be locked inside the car. And then I'd have to call up someone and then the police, and it would take maybe hours and hours. Now, I forget my keys, and then the thing goes, bing! The keys are in the car, I get the keys. Yeah? So things have gotten a lot easier on a lot of little levels. Yeah? This is just the mind dreaming itself out of this dream. That's what happens. But you're not that. Yeah? You're not that. But that's the experience here.
Yeah.
Is the mind dreaming itself out of the dream. Yeah. You are what's not in the dream or anything like that. Yes? Yeah. And there's no way you could be that without being this. There's just no way. Because all there is that. So there's like an assurity that it comes over you. Yeah? It's like when I came into recovery, I actually share this with a lot of people. If I was new, the one thing I'd pray for in recovery is the ability to be convinced. It's an unbelievable state when you're finally convinced of something. Everything changes. There's no going back and thinking and yes, maybe I can get away with something, blah, blah, blah. There's just a very soberness about it. You're convinced it's a done deal. Yeah? If you continue to participate in this mind state, it's going to produce a lot of suffering, let's say. That convincing is sort of what it's like. If there's a revelation of it and or repetition of entertaining it, there'll be a point where there is no point, but there can be a point where a surety arises, where it's like a done deal. And so then you'll start really seeing stuff arise that you had no idea was cooking on the stove. More and more is revealed. Just
you are this dreams come true.
You will see the level of seeing here is very, very shallow level of seeing, walking around here. We're basically blinded by all these ways of looking. We're totally blind. And part of that blindness is not to sense everything that's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's arising in these mind states that your consciousness is being enveloped not to see. Yeah? They're not so much the what, it's just, I don't want to go into it, because I don't know. I think it's almost like the throwing up of subjectiveness. Yeah? The subjectiveness of the mind state throws up, basically, and you see it. Because what you're getting over, really, is the false subjectivity here. We're having a subjective experience. We are looking at things from a fixed point. No matter how much you like it, you're not escaping that here, in a way. as this. This will never not be that subjective view. So that's the point. There's the urge I find with a lot of people I speak with is there's a sense that they believe they're going to become an authentic self through this practice or something, this entertaining. At one point there'll be a seeing, and that will be me that finally saw. That's not happening. Yeah? Because any me is subjective. And there's only one subjectivity, true subjectivity. This is like a faux subjectiveness, yeah? When consciousness is moving through a body, there's a false subjectiveness to it. Your experience is different than other people's experiences, yeah? That's what occurs. But there is only subjectivity. The mental state makes a faux subjectiveness. I don't like to use the word subjectivity, but subjectiveness, yeah? It becomes subjective. And it's almost like a bad replication of subjectivity. That's what I believe the little head is playing God. It senses godness, but it replicates it in a mental state way. So you feel like you're the subject, that you're the one that's giving all meaning to things, but so does everybody else, giving different meanings. Where you would say all of that is all of that. So I find that that's what sometimes gets thrown up, is the subjectiveness, the unbelievable subjectiveness of the mental state you've been identified as. To me, it goes on. I feel more now than I ever felt. Freaking every second of the day. Every second of the day. When I was out there using, I thought I had a body, and that was about it. I didn't feel much at all. Now, every second, the verbness of this thing is just on and on and on. And then the verbness of the mental states. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah? You get to see that. And it's sort of like you sit there and you get to see stuff that you had no idea was lurking in that little stagnant pond. You know? And then you realize why people don't want to do this, really. People don't want to be free, in a sense. They want to be free, but they don't want to be free. Because it's like being on an operating table, like you in that day. You were feeling bad, but you're doing the right thing. Yeah? That doing the right thing will outlast that feeling if you rely on that principle, and then something will be revealed to you. A dream will get a little happier. Or you'll just sense something you never sensed before. There's no way you can sense what it's like to drop out of subjectiveness, because you would only put a subjective meaning on it. And that's not dropping out of subjectiveness. Yeah? So you got a lot to look forward to if you and the AA program has a sound set of principles that this operation, in a sense, and of course there isn't one because all there is that, but in the dream it's going to look like a process. The operation will continue on the table you're on. You're on a damn good table. Just don't get up. Let it continue. Yeah. This idea of being convinced is the sense I get from it. There's no me that be convinced, but I felt the replicas of that when I came to alcoholism. Yeah? My mind has a sense of what that is, being convinced, and that's what I would say is occurring now. There's just a convincing. You see, and then that's that. It's just like, what the hell? I don't need to have 800,000 more pages revealed to be convinced. Yes, I've seen to do. Let's get on with it.
If I consider what you're describing to be practical transformation, sort of.
That may look like it here in the appearance.
Because I'm such a beginner, I can't meditate, so I have to find some way to be able to take it in. If I perceive it as practical transformation, to be rid of the subjective prison.
Yes.
And I'm interested how you, I've heard you say it a couple times now, you're feeling all the time. And where I drop off the beam is, I think of feelings as being the most subjective experience there is. Totally reliant on my assumptions, judgments, projections, mirroring. So I would love for you to convince me that
To convince you.
yeah, convince me. I mean, you're choosing my words. Like, I may be using them wrong, but I'm paying attention to what you're saying. That the feeling experience is valuable. I mean, how can it be valuable if it's nothing but subjective?
It was valuable here. It has value here.
When you experience, let's say, bliss or whatever it is that you mean when you say you're feeling all the time,
It's not bliss that I'm experiencing all the time.
is it anything to do with? Is it non-subjective or is it just pure subjectivity? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, let's just say there's.
I'm not quizzing you. I'm trying to
Oh,
understand
I know.
because I can't feel.
I know. Let's say there's a space in this room. Yeah, this space here. And then there's these chairs and everything, tables. Yes? And so if you looked at yourself, really you fall in the category of a chair and a table.
Objective.
Right
Got
here.
it.
Yes. So it looks like you're having an experience
Right.
here as a chair and a table. People sitting on you, this and that. Yeah. But in a sense, if, let's say, we took this chair out, you wouldn't see any of the effects of this chair being here except on other appearances, like the floor where it
So my
rubbed.
essence is feeling?
No. So let's say here, and this chair is having, let's say it's having a subjective experience of being a chair. Yeah? Feelings and thoughts and this and that. Then we remove this chair, and it felt it's very significant. We remove this chair, and the effects of that chair, though it's been here 40 years, could only be seen in, like, the floor, and if it rubbed up against the wall. It doesn't leave any semblance of being here in the space. Yeah? So, at this time, there's experiences and feelings, and you're having a dream of being a subject as an object. Yeah? Here. And there's the space it's happening in. Now, in a sense, all that's going on here has no effect on the space. Like if you move the chair, it will look as in the space. It's not like you have to move space back into the space the chair was in because it didn't take up any space. In a sense, you could call it an appearance in space because it has no effect on the space, so it's actually not real. It doesn't take up any space, but it seems real to us because we're identified with a chair. So when I see chairs because I'm a chair, but I'm not, because I'm seeing chairs and really engaged in chair world, I'm not aware of the space that I am. Yeah, and so is every other chair. Because when I remove this chair...
I understand.
Yes, so that's sort of what it's like.
Space feeling?
No. The space is not a feeling, but it can affect, not affect, but this entertaining it can affect feelings in here. But it's not a feeling. It's just, it's not even, you can't even say what it is, you know. Maybe you want to get close to a very, very all-time, everywhere state.
The mystery I get.
Yeah,
I don't even aspire to it. It's so far over my head.
Yeah.
I just want to have a better ability to, as my understanding is with meditation, that the whole point of why I would ever get good at it is that I would completely love myself to the point that I would completely and totally, not love myself as an object, but be able to accept feelings. Instead of do the old idea, which is to manipulate or amputate or...
Well, you'll be able to, you can skip a lot of sitting on your ass if you want to just entertain accepting feelings. Entertain them as not yours, and that's called accepting feelings. They come and go. When you think they're yours, that stops them. That's what makes them a story. That's what you don't want to have because you don't want to have a feeling like that, or you want to have a certain feeling. So all movement of mind here, all aversion, hate from things, and all desiring is based on that. Yes, you want something, you don't want something. But when you see a feeling as just a feeling, it comes and goes. That's true acceptance of a feeling. You accept its real nature, which is it's contrived, it comes and goes.
I understand it all intellectually. I don't have a problem with what you're saying.
Well, it has to go through the intellectual mail slot, but if you entertain it, it drops down. To that, this won't work. Yeah?
That's right.
This won't work, an intellectual idea.
That's where I
because
get
it doesn't
stuck.
hold water.
That's where I get stuck.
Yeah.
So is there a practical sort of approach to forcing the box to be unstuck?
No.
How did you do it? You obviously did it.
I didn't.
It happened to you?
It didn't happen to me, no. It's happening
You entered
constantly.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
It's actually the easiest thing because it's already so at all times. It has nothing to do with you. That's the good news.
Is it not fair to say to somebody who's asking for work or practice, to say, turn your attention inwards to see what's looking? Is that, you wouldn't even recommend that?
No, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Who's asking for
What I really like is letting the person sit in that asking. That's what I like at times. Because I really like the sense of nothing. Yeah? See what it's like when there's asking and it's a pause. That's really what you're looking for, is that pause. But for you, in a sense, I would look at a dilemma that we all run into. And that dilemma is, okay, we learn meditation and we're gonna try to get better. Yeah? Yeah? Sounds innocent and everything like that. And every practice and every non-practice is set in a modality of the mental state called self-centeredness, where it's cast as you're going to be the doer of that meditation, and then you're going to have the results of that meditation. That's a big dilemma that a lot of people don't see when they enter into a quote-unquote spiritual practice. They think it's like going to the store and getting something, paying and putting your time in, and you get a Coca-Cola. It doesn't apply to what you are. You can't do or have yourself into it. But there can be doing and having, which is going to produce an ease in the physicality and the brain. Yeah?
But being, it would be where I would be interested in moving. I don't care about doing and having.
Well, the being is always available at all times. To me, it still seems like you want to have a step to take. This sitting right here, this is it. The journey is, let's say, everywhere is everywhere. Yeah. Where would you start on a journey to everywhere?
See, I follow you all the way along this.
Yeah.
You can't lose me.
Good.
I did enough acid.
Good. Well, let's just see. Where would you start a journey in everywhere? To get to everywhere.
Empty and blank.
Yeah, anywhere you are would be.
But I don't feel it. It's just a subjective. But I aspire.
I know. I know what you're saying. There's going to be something. Hopefully, you'll get weaned off of the relevance of feelings. Literally, because it's never going to feel probably like you think it's going to feel.
See, because I hear you saying you feel all the time, and I'm thinking, well, this is what the whole problem is.
I feel all the time. I'm not saying they're good feelings. No. What you call good and bad feelings. I just feel all the time. Not me, but this feeling is all the time.
The wiring is operative. The circulation is happening.
But the space is not a feeling. It's not feeling great all the time. It's just a space of, for me, allness. Yeah. What can I say? It just has its qualities or reality. It's hard, you can't frame it with this mental state called self-centeredness. You won't even get close.
So you really can't even call it a feeling, maybe.
It's
not get up.
The feelings can generate, they're always generating in you, but the feelings aren't coming from there, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Can I say something?
Yes, jump in.
It's Roseanne, yeah?
Nicola.
Sorry, I'm not remember that.
What's your name again?
Sally.
Sally?
Yeah. You say, when you feel something, right, whatever it is, anger, whatever.
Hate.
How do you know you feel?
I'm good at hate.
How do you know you feel? How do you know you're feeling?
I act.
How do you know that you're feeling?
There's an imprint that registers.
Where?
say the soul, I guess.
Well, that's just words.
Not
of
the body.
But you know that you feel.
Anger, rage,
Yeah, but
hate, violence.
Yeah. Now we're getting to it.
I'm good at that stuff. I
Anger,
don't
rage,
want to
hate,
be good at
violence,
it.
yeah.
I don't want to be good at it.
But where's it happening though?
In every molecule, fiber, and whatever you can measure at the nano level. And if I get hurt, I don't care. I will hurt you. Not you. Just take it back. It's just.
So I think where Sally's trying to take you is just if you'd ask who is it that has those feelings, instead of having such a strong description of the feelings, why not ask?
With it?
Well, instead of, you have a very strong description of the feelings, but
I can
ask who it is that's having the feeling.
The hate?
No.
No?
Ask who it is, and when it says the hate, ask again.
Okay.
Stay in the
The victim.
and ask again. Just ask, because every time the mind throws up an answer, just keep looking at it, because
What?
and then you'll
Animal.
have an
Wounded
experience.
Wounded animal.
Ask again. All right, who is the wounded animal?
It just kind of goes in an endless loop circle. Victim, wounded animal.
Exactly.
Victim, wounded
That's
animal.
the point.
No.
See the vicious loop circle.
The old idea.
And see, is that you?
In that moment that I experience the violence?
What it is,
Urge.
it's the verb of you. It's the verb of you. It's the selfing, yes?
Yes, it is.
It's the selfing.
It's the pure selfing.
So you see the selfing, but the point is, this invitation is, seeing the selfing does not make a self.
No, it doesn't. I know
Yes.
that. And I
And
respect restraint.
the self
and
is not
thought.
what's seeing the selfing.
I get it.
That's the freedom.
And then I don't feel the
No,
hate.
stay.
Then I
You're
don't
right
feel
there.
the hate.
You're right there.
But then
Just
I don't
stay
feel the
there.
hate. Then I don't feel the hate.
See, but then you just jumped on the horse again. Just stay there.
Startled.
Startled is very good.
I love it. I love it.
Startled is I don't know. It's really
Yeah,
good.
I totally love it.
Stay there.
Yeah, got it.
And because what happens is we have a lot of self-knowledge, but it's availing us nothing, yeah?
You'd
Because the selfing is claiming it. And so it neuters the knowledge of self, because it's the idea of being a self entertaining it. Yeah? It's tricky.
Get it?
You believe that this isn't like a one-lock door. You open the one lock. There's every room that you think you're getting out of is part of it. Yeah? There is no you getting out of here.
Including violence and hate.
Every door that you try to step out of that you think says escape or exit, there is no exit here, as in the subjectiveness.
I get it now.
Yeah. So wherever you're going, you're not going to be there when you get there. It's just, that's the thing, that's what's put down in a sense, yeah.
So the hate and violence is not problematic.
Only to you.
But she's not doing it. She's
No,
not the one that's doing
That's
it.
right, but I'd stay with the only to you. I think that would be good for you now, in a sense, because that's the truth. It has a lot of meaning, but to you, the hate and violence. If there's hate and violence comes through you, there's going to be consequences, yeah?
No, I don't want it. Look,
Well,
I did it.
that's another story. Just sit with like that, yeah, that poise. Of course, there's a feeling I don't want it, and then there's other feelings, but I really want it. And all of this claiming is part and parcel. See, the fear and the hate don't stop, and then you begin. The fear and the hate, and then the sense of someone who has it is the same thing.
I just want the circulation. I don't even judge which feeling.
Well, you have plenty of circulation all day. This thing's verbing.
That one channel.
All is verbing. Yeah. So if you want circulation, the only thing that isn't it's also circulating is the idea of you being a noun. Yes. It's like all's a river, and yet you think you're standing in the river. And then you're having experiences of the river hitting me a certain way, and I wish I could go this way and that. But that's the river also. Anywhere your mind, whatever point your mind goes to present a you, that's also river. There's no place where you climb out of the water and become the island. There is no island. All there is stream. All there is verbing. Yeah, that's the freedom. There's no place where it stops and you begin. Yeah, there's no place where you become the observer of an event. The observing of an event is part of the event. There is no escaping the verbing. Everything is part. Everything that's arising is part and parcel, yes, of the verb. Everything. Everything. There's no point where there's a you that arises too. That's the verb also. The drive for relevance or authenticity of the mental state called selfing will surprise you how persistent it is that it becomes real or relative. Yeah? It will call itself on all of its dirty tricks as long as it has the sense of being the someone who's realized the dirty tricks. Its drive isn't having dirty tricks or not having. It will give up things easily, but it doesn't want to give up its relevance here. It wants to be the sense of a noun. Yeah, that's the mind. But it's all verbing. It's all selfing. So you having anger and hate is not like anger and hate and you having it. That's part of it. You observing that you are having anger and hate, that's also part of it. You observing that and having a thing that I've seen it clearly, but I keep falling back in, is also part of it. You going, oh, I've been on this for 20 years, but it's that's also. There is no point where you end at the end of the street. It just goes on and on and on and on and on.
I'd like a different channel.
That's also part of it, that you like a different channel. It's like there's different channels, but you never escape the TV box. You know?
Where is the point of neutrality?
The point of neutrality is entertaining. I'm not that noun.
Yeah.
That's the point of neutrality. When everything is verbing, where could you say a center is? Where could you say I'm closer to the middle or farther? There's no, all your little navigational ideas as a noun are lost in verbing.
But
Yeah?
even if you kind of have this body and you travel in it, and it makes it feel as a center, because kind of the body is kind of so living in the body or something that makes it feel like a center.
I'm not a believer in a soul, so I don't believe it makes you feel like the center. I think the mind makes it feel like the center. Yes? The body's not making you feel like anything. It's the mind's interpreting that this is a fixed reference. Yes? So here's this camera, and here's the tripod. So now seeing is coming through. Yes? It gets subjectived. How can I say? Subjectivized. It turns into a way of looking called self-centeredness. And what St. Francis says, what you are looking for is what's looking. But you can't see it because it's seeing. Yes, you can't. Your looking blinds you to it because of the sense of being a you that's looking. So every time there's a sense of you looking, you miss it. And yet it's all there is.
It's kind of like being hypnotized from, like, say, when you're really little, it's like you have a kind of a memory of before you were hypnotized before, when you didn't have this feeling of the center and the I. You know, like you talk about memory of before that started. Well, many people do. And then it's sort of like a hypnotism. And then now you think, well, no, I am really in there is this center. But if you really look at it, it's not true. Because everything can be seen. Everything can be seen. Like your thought and your feeling and your guts or your an emotion. Everything is experience in its behind. It's not a thing, but it's not you. No? It's not you. It cannot be you because it's not an object.
That's right. let's say like the eye cannot see the eye. It sees everything else, but it can't see itself. It's pure subjectivity. It can't see itself. Yeah? There's no seeing itself because there's no self. It's all just whatever. Yes? We're cast ourselves as a pseudo-subject, and we're trying to see the truth. And that's why it escapes us, because we are the truth, trying to see it. Yeah? When that drive to want to see it as a you is seen through, the seeing becomes obvious. And one of the feelings that comes along with it, at least in me, was that it's always been so. All the ideas of how important it was, me looking and struggling and finding, was just like a puppet show, in a sense. It didn't change. No matter how important I made the chair, when it was taken out of the room, it was as if it was never there. Yeah, no matter, I could be the worst chair and hurt all these other chairs, or I could have done this. I could have been an electric chair. I could have killed tons of people. And yet, when it was removed, it left no mark on the space. You are like, in other words, in a sense, you are affectless. You don't affect anything.
That's why you don't have to.
You don't affect reality. You're an appearance. I'm an appearance. We affect other appearances, yes. But I don't affect reality. So let's say you have taken yourself to be a dreamed object. And forgive the words because the language is... So here you are in a dream object. So you're in a dream, and then there's a dream, and in the dream there's a tiger. And that tiger scares the bejesus out of you, yeah? You have feelings, you have anxiety, you have fear. Wow, you see the dream tiger and it scares the hell out of you, yeah? Now maybe you try to get therapy about how to get over being afraid of tigers and watching films of people petting tigers and on and on and on, trying to get over this predilection to be super scared and pissing in your pants when you see a tiger.
Do you feel afraid?
Or you just wake up. When there's a waking up out of the dream, there's an instant realization the dream tiger is a dream tiger. Yeah. It has no effect on you. Yes? That's what it's like. And it's not even waking up out of the dream is too much. It's not even waking up out of the dream. It's just entertaining you're not the dreamer. That's it. Yeah? You entertain you're not the dreamer. It's like thousands of things your mind has entertained. Very rarely has it entertained what's true. So when it entertains, like here, let's say we're here and it's the ocean. Yeah, ocean. All there is ocean. And so we're at a meeting of waves, yeah, that are going to go talk about the ocean. So we're sitting here talking about the ocean as waves. Yeah. So I'm talking and, you're like a tsunami, I'm like a little wave, you're like this, you're like that. And we're interested in the ocean as a wave. Yeah, as a wave. So some people will get a book and it'll describe the ocean in the most unbelievably beautiful manner. I mean, incredible. And there's a lot of books you can get that will describe the wonderfulness, the blissful state of allness and everywhere. But you're hearing it as a wave. The only way the wave can interpret that is that it can have an experience of the ocean. What we're doing here is just questioning the wave. I don't give a shit about the ocean, because you'll discover it yourself without having to read books. Yeah? Are you a wave? If you're not a wave, that's the ocean. And the point is, that wave has always been the ocean. It wasn't like the wave finally had this incredible point of relevance where it gave up its waveness to be the ocean. It had no relevance as a wave. And that's what it's still exerting and trying to exert in people that I know. They want to be a wave that gives up waveness to be an ocean. As if that's going to be really meaningful. To who? To the wave. Yeah? So this is about just recognizing we're entertaining sometimes what it's like, the qualities of feeling like an ocean. And all of us have had examples of that in our lives. When you were a kid, maybe, when this happened. So there's a sense of what it's like to be the ocean. We're just trying to remind the wave that perhaps you're not a wave. When the wave entertains it's not a wave, that's the ocean. Yeah? And then there's no problem that the ocean seems to appear as waves. It's only a problem to the wave, because the wave's having trouble and it's thinking the ocean will bring it a great advantage. In the ocean state, waves go on. That's the whole point. Yeah? I found you become more uniquely a wave when you're not a wave.
I understand the non-separation. I understand the unity. What I can't seem to integrate is the feeling. Like, let's say the wave is a feeling. You're in the ocean. You're in the ocean. You are the ocean. You're in the moment of non-separation. What fucking feeling? I don't get it. So I'm not going to waste your time.
See, the thing is, you'd have to be something to jump in the ocean.
It's almost like I'm autistic. I can't get it.
No. You're just here, and then this is not a very, like a typical, you're not going to go to 28 Lutzgarten, Wagen, whatever, and then 24 Wagen, and people are going to be talking about this. It's an unusual sort of presentation, and the conditional mind has a hard time trying to get around it. That's one of the points, is when it gets exhausted, and the mental act of selfing startles into submission. Usually that's a very strong free sample. And then you have your own, and it's not a feeling like a feeling, because feelings come and go. It's more like a state. It's different than a feeling.
Yes,
and it's not an experience, and a feeling is an experience. It's not an experience.
A feeling is an experience?
Feeling is an experience, of course.
Okay, no, you gave me something to work with.
This is not based on feelings. It's a whole different ball game in a sense. It doesn't have qualities. It doesn't have, you can't see it, hear it, feel it, taste it, and touch it.
No, I get that.
You can sense something about it, because the mind that you are is that. So the mind can sense its own nature, but when it gets downloaded into selfing, it wants to feel it, and taste it, and touch it, and it ain't going to happen. It's not like that.
But that's not what I'm...
You'll have feelings, but it's not that. Feelings the conditionality of this apparatus will go through changes, and you'll feel different things than you used to feel. And you may have some incredible experiences, but that's not it. It's not. I was just speaking to a guy on the internet who, he was with a master of Siddhi Yoga a long time ago. Siddhi Yoga is like a lot of juice, energy. It can transmit energy to the person. And they call them kriyas. You get powers and everything. And this man was with this master he lived in an ashram 3.5 years in India, and he was with him for quite a while. And he had he has a giant catalog of spiritual experiences that would beat every one of us in this room. Like the first page he put up, we would have lost. I mean, we'd all walk out feeling. And he was saying, and most of his life he thought the spiritual experience was it, the feelings of bliss and this and that and that and this, and he's come to the conclusion that that's not it. And that's exactly what it's like. It's not it. Everything that arises and happens here is not it. If you want a mantra, that's it. Whatever arises is not it.
So I can get to it even if I'm blocked from the feelings. The feelings, regardless of whether or not I can have an experience, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. It doesn't. None of that stuff that you are claiming to have relevance, stopping you from something, has any power to stop you from what's always so. And you're that. That's the only way it would work for me. If I was going up to the court of my head, I would have been convicted years ago. Oh, do you agree with this? Why would I want to rely on that? This is like, fuck it, go for it. Your mind is mind. It's not what you think it is. Mind is available right where we're sitting, and mind it has the ability to entertain, and it has an ability to reflect, and it can reflect in a sense, and it's not reflecting, but it can reflect what's always so. Yes? Instead of reflecting you all day and getting absorbed in the story of being you, it can sort of like turn around, and in Zen they would call it the original face. It can reflect the original face, which isn't a face, and that's the beautifulness. You see the pure subjectivity because it's not an object that appears. That's why who am I is good. Subjective questioning. You ask the question, who am I? And the mind will come up with a conceptual idea. I'm the one who's hateful. Just sit with that until it gives up all the meaning it's throwing up. And then when it stops throwing up meaning, you'll sense the space it's throwing up the meanings in. Yeah? Wow. The
This is
space
the
is
ocean.
unbelievable. We're not used to it.
And that's the ocean.
Well, you want to,
Is
I'm
it?
just using it as a, yes, that's the ocean, as a,
A part.
an allegory or something. Yeah, it's not the ocean, but
I
it's
get it, I get it.
To me, I would, if you want to use an example, I like clear, open sky much better than ocean. Yeah? Your mind can even entertain a sense, a very vague sense of what could be by just entertaining sky. Not the clouds in it, the sky. And notice the qualities of sky. A lot of things happen in the sky, but they never affect the sky. You never hear a plane running into a piece of sky up there. They're flying through it. There's rainstorms and rainbows and birds. Everything are going on. All these appearances are happening in it, but the appearances don't affect the sky. The sky is like the mind, that context. And all we are right now are appearing as content. Yeah? But as the content, so is the context. So the content, because it's not so, can entertain the context because it is so. Yeah. So the wave is the ocean, no matter how much it's saying it's a wave, and no matter how much it's saying, I feel like I'm dry. And feeling dry means I'm not the ocean, which is what the mind's doing. I'm feeling this and that. This establishes me as a dry, independent wave. No, you're the fucking ocean.
Good. Yay.
I don't care what presents
This is
as
good
you.
news.
Yeah. That's the convincing. I'm not, anyone can argue, or want to say anything to me, and my head can say anything to me. I'm priorly convinced. I don't give a shit what it presents. Is it not? It's just so fucking obvious in a way. Yeah.
But that's a big step, Paul. You're convinced. You're convinced. So yeah, I mean, this is what's been. I can't even think now.
Thank God. That's good. Stay there. Yeah.
I take this message and I try to make my life a better life, and that's caused a lot of suffering too.
Yeah. Yes. I know.
And I'm at the point where you always turn the recorder off when it gets interesting.
Oh, do
I don't want to record this.
Oh, yeah. All
It's
right.
like when you talk about hitting some rough spots.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I feel like I am now. I mean, I've exhausted everything. I'm still going on this wheel, polishing that coin, trying to get the gold chain instead of the iron chain.
Yeah.
And I use this message too to try to. I'm going to use this message and personify it. But that's not an escape either. I mean, but at the same time, I think what's helped me is like if someone's an asshole or if I'm being in my state of hating someone or something, it's not me doing it. And it's not the other person doing it. So it's like you can't do anything about it. It feels like a relief. I mean, I feel like I'm traveling lighter because of that. I don't know if I'm on the right track or anything like that. But
There's no right track.
there is no right track.
Right where you are, that sense, not to minimize any feelings, because the message is not minimize feelings. It just entertains you're not that thinks it has the feeling. Because the feelings are happening, but there's mental additions and subtractions that are. So hopefully you'll just get exhausted, bro.
Yeah, but it's really.
Why do you think we're here? I understand you in a sense as being here. So I come to Sweden. It's just like being in AA. There's a little, as the action figure, I have a responsibility. So if people have shown interest in what I've been saying on the internet, and they come somewhere, I'm going to make a lot of time to hang out with them. Yeah? No matter what my body's doing or not. Because I honor, I honor this message. It's a very, to me, it's cool. It's probably a dilemma in a way. But I really, really love it. And so, when I heard you were coming here and Hans and Sally, then we just use the day to hang out. And then just explore, and also, it's the heaviness of mind gives a lot of meaning to quote unquote spirituality. Yeah? And in AA we have that rule 62, don't take yourself too seriously. Yeah? It's really important to sort of remember that you are dreaming yourself out of this dream, and it's inevitable, the condition of what you are. There's no way here that you can fuck it up. Right. Yes?
I'm too concerned about how it's going to look,
To who?
Yeah. I'm too concerned about, I think that your life's going to change, or, I have all these ideas that, if you get this message, then things will be better, and, that just creates even more suffering.
That's it.
I'm at the bottom. I'm really tired of everything.
In what way are you demoralized, may I ask?
Well, you find that everything doesn't work.
Well, he hoped things would work and make things better. And sometimes that's the greatest message of all. Yeah? You give up relying on everything.
Nothing works.
Yeah.
No.
Nothing works.
You give up on relying on everything, and it may seem very painful, but in a way, it's a beautiful turn, and you're dreaming yourself out of this place. It's like I said to him the other day. He shared, and he was feeling really bad, but he was doing everything that you're supposed to do. Yeah? That's when you lay on the operating table and you surrender, if you want to call it that. You just let it go, because it's not over what's happening, yes? And the false meanings we've given things, we've been looking for things to save us, yeah? Even this message, which is, if it's delivered somewhat well, it has that idea is not available in the message, but the mind that hears it makes it like,
right.
So this is going to save me. This is the next thing that's going to save me. When the point is, the message is that you don't need to be saved. There's nothing to be saved. But, of course, the mind wants some relief from that. These are strong flows of selfing, yes? You may not know how juicy they are. The desire to be better, yeah? The desire to be better, the desire to feel great, yeah? And sometimes in the process, that isn't a process, those things get revealed, and it's uncomfortable. You may feel like shit a lot of the times, and the mind's experience sours. You ever see someone who realizes that he's not the doer? The head goes fucking ballistic, because its whole relevance is that I'm the doer of this life. When it really hits you that you're not the doer, I've seen people go off the deep end. I mean, go into a deep level of depression up there, because all their relevance here is based on me doing and getting better and things. And when that starts getting seen through, it's not comfortable for the head. Yeah. I mean, some people say, everything went like that. But there's other things that happen. This thing goes through changes here. Yeah, the apparatus.
A lot of them I don't like.
Yeah. What?
A lot of them I don't like.
Yeah. Well, tough luck, really. Because there's no you to do anything about it. That's the whole... It's sort of like, in a way, it's sort of like you've been wrestling with someone, and you've been struggling, and then there's just the realization they've pinned you. There's no way you're going to win. Really? And you just sort of, all that coiled up resistance, you just sort of melt into the vat. And then the game changes. The movie changes drastically. But if there's an ounce of struggle in there, it looks like a wrestling match being televised, But as soon as it's like, then the whole thing changes. The wrestling mat changes, and the amphitheater, and things just look totally different. Because the one of the clenches of mind is let go, finally. One of the fists of mind just went, and that's dreaming yourself out of this place.
Can I make a little observation? I don't know, because I'm over-identifying. The thing is, I remember what he said about a bucket of water, and I remember that that there's a difference between submission and surrender. So when I am at the, whatever it is, ground zero, I'm over-identified with that you're describing. What I do is I remember that I'm surrendering, not submitting. And then I use a fucking bucket of water. I get it wherever I need, to put the fire out.
Well, I tell you, that's another.
Just temporarily till
I mean-
I can go back to all this advanced.
That's another thing. A bucket of water sometimes turns out to be a bucket of gas. Because
basically, Gene, you're fucked. Basically, Gene, you're fucked. You're totally fucked.
I hope, I wish I could relax.
You have no help. There's no hope. I'm not going to help you. You'll leave here totally disappointed in me. Every savior has to fail you. Until there's nothing to grab onto, and then maybe as you're falling into the abyss, and you can't grab onto something, what you were calling hands will turn into wings. Who knows? And even that's too much to say. Yeah? But there'll be a point where there'll be really giving up. Yeah.
Sometimes.
But get the help you need and everything, and whatever. Stay in touch with me if you like, and other people here. There's nothing. This isn't a race. We're not trying to get someplace. It's not like someone's the winner and loser here. Yeah. All happening. It's just a verb going on.
Sometimes at AA meetings we hear people talk about when they really kind of hit the bottom and completely give up and kind of transform and never drink again from that point on and transform also. And I hope I hit my bottom, but it was not as dramatic as it's been a long struggle. And sometimes you almost wish that something really terrible happened, so you had to, because I'm clinging, and it's like I won't let go even if somebody pointed a gun at me and said, I don't know, it's like, because of fear, I think.
The thing is, it could happen over a cup of tea. It may not be a gun pointing at you. There's these fists, though, because they are arising, have to change. Yes? They weren't a fist. They became seemingly a fist, and they're going to unbecome one. I had one that was, when I was in AA and before AA, I had a dilemma, a certain behavioral pattern in my life that really caused havoc. One of many, but this was the biggest, I thought the biggest one. And I had been blaming it on doing coke, drugs. And I got sober, and it appeared when I was sober. And it really bummed me out, because I had this false hope that it was over because now I'm not doing drugs, but it was not the case. And for the next 11 years in sobriety, it would come up. It was like, it would only come up in intimate relationships, not casual. And what it was like a vague paranoia. I felt like somebody was going to hurt me or do something. And then I'd act out, make an ass of myself, and fuck things up usually. And it happened many, many times over the years, prior to sober and then sober. And like Gene was sharing, it was getting pretty damn exhausting. I felt like I'd done everything I could to try to change it. Prayed, surrendered, went to therapy a little bit. That wasn't that good. And body work, everything, just trying to get over this. And it just kept propping up. But after about 11 years, I was in a situation, and that mind state arose, and I started to have this vague feeling this lady was out to get me, And there was what we call in AA a pause, which is a pause occurred, and instead of immediately having that thing go into its reactive pattern, it ran into like a big patch of open sky, mind maybe, and there was a pause. And at that pause, the rest of the night went totally different. Obviously, she had no idea what was cooking. Yeah? And it was just like a little speed bump, and everything went different, and it's never appeared since. So, it was pretty trippy. Yet, it had, my narration around it was, I'm fucking never going to get over this. I can't have relationships. I can't do this. There was so much extra luggage put on this one little piece of luggage. And I had lost basically all hope, basically, but I kept not, because you have no choice, seriously. You just go into the situations you're driven to go into. So I was trying it once again with another babe, and then it broke. Yeah, and it's never returned. That was like 13, 14 years ago.
You have no choice, I heard you say that.
No, there's no real choice in anything. You're just an action figure wound up. You're just meeting and doing things.
Oh, great.
Yeah. The idea of
Cheer
choice.
right up.
But if you believe you have choice, exert it, you know. If you believe you have free will, exert it. That's what I say to people. I don't care if you think you have free will or not. If you feel like it, do it. But that's sort of that sense of being exhausted by evidence and all my little hopes dashed and all my illusory balloons popped. Really, and it was, you know, it wasn't a nice way to travel because I was afraid anytime I liked somebody, this looming shadow was over me that was going to shit all over it. So a lot of natural feelings were getting thwarted, yes? Because I'd like to have someone, but no, my mind was, no, I'm going to rain on your parade, you know, someday and whatever. But, and I'd given up hope, and yet something occurs. So don't take your take on everything so seriously, because it doesn't know what it's fucking talking about. That's the point of the talk. Really, you think you have a good take on what's going on, but totally, it's all insane.
I don't know if I have a good take, but that's what I rely on. You know, I know that's not good because it produces all this fear and anger and resentment. And it comes like, it's not a thing I think about. It's just sometimes I just feel it. It just comes up, you know.
Yeah. It's a mental
And
state.
it's because, you know, I put meaning on things. I don't know where the hell these meanings come from. They're insane things.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, all my stuff comes from memory and yeah, I don't know. Like if someone treats me bad once, or if I feel slighted by them, you know, there's a memory bank going in there, and I have a lot of grudges and resentments. And the next time I see that person, it isn't a new page. It's already logged in here.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and you just want to stay away from that person. But it causes suffering too. I don't know. It's.
Well, you know, bro, I'd go back to the AA fundamentals and that idea of surrender. Because obviously with all this, there's a managing going on too. Yeah? Right. And just to sort of, even if you have to do it like in a ritualized way, surrender it, you know? If you have to give the mind, like put curtains on it for the little conditional mind, do it. You know? And then see what happens. Because the surrender is a very... it can provoke a pause, you know, in a way, where the mind will pause and then new possibilities will appear. See, the mind just is crowded with old possibilities, and what we like to do is have a pause or something where that sky gets cleared out a little bit of the clouds and some new ones can come in that may let more light into your life, yes? Instead of being such a dense weather front.
I mean, my life, I tell you, because of you, my life is...
Well, it's not because of me, but I appreciate it. Yeah. This is the seed assignment. That's what I'm doing, showing up for. Until they kick me out. It could happen any day, because I'm supposed to be obsolete. That's my job. It's a very bad career choice, meaning my job is temporary. I'm just inviting you.
Obsolete, is that what you said?
Obsolete.
Obsolete means out of date, no longer necessary. End date.
I'm just like a mailman. Yeah, I'm just inviting you, and then I have total confidence in mind. Yeah, you don't need me. I just participate with it. It's not a good career choice, though. Definitely. I was going to build a career on this shaky ground.
How long have you been doing it?
How am I doing it? Oh,
I mean,
I've been involved in
being a free
this, not this messy, but doing 19, 20 years now. But this has morphed over time.
The Zen bitch slap thing.
Oh, the Zen Bitch Slap, we only started the website 18 months ago, but I've been doing it since 97, I guess. It's around that. Yeah, I just like to invite people for the possibility. It's not a draft or a conscription, it's just there. Check it out. You may be interested in looking at it. Because the mind is so folded in on itself in that self-centered system. We like to just open it up. It's like a lens that's just been, you believe, because there's an identification as it, you don't believe the lens can just open up. You think you have to do and have something to do it. Well, the lens is not, this is just a mental state of, it's the mind's ability to open is unbelievable. You just have to get a little invitation in there.
Opening up that mind doesn't come from the mind. I think sometimes it's a shock.
Yes.
You know, it's not like I'm going to think myself into a better state of mind or,
No.
you know.
But you can receive an invitation that can cause it to start entertaining. Yeah? When the mind starts entertaining, look out. Because most people aren't entertaining much anymore. They're just living rote. You know, they're living every day, same old mental states. Yeah? Same old mental states arising and this and that. But the mind's ability to entertain, once it's freed up, it can entertain, I'm not that. That's being presented, yes? It can entertain that all these takes on life are just representations of life from a mental state. It's insane. Yeah? All of this. And so instead of entertaining how short my pants are for 5 hours at a meeting, it can entertain peace. It can entertain, I'm not that. Whatever is seen, heard, felt, tasted, touched, or thought, I'm not that.
Well, for you, just see, a thought comes up, a self-centered thought still comes up, right? And it's seen for what it is and it's not followed. Is that right?
Yes.
Always, just
Not always, just right now.
Yeah, but
I can't say always.
So it's like, you know, the pulse, the I is always there. It's because that's the modus operandi.
Yeah.
So it's still there.
Sure.
It's just
It's
not
fun.
taken seriously anymore or something like that.
Well, it's taking itself extremely seriously. It doesn't have much of an audience.
Like, you don't go like, oh, well, I think it's just a shitty thing. Or like,
Yeah.
oh, I shouldn't have thought that. That's really judgmental. Oh, I'm a really crap person. Well, actually, I'm quite great. So you don't do all that stuff.
When I listen to it when it says, look at this train schedule.
Yeah. But that's
I do.
not a self-centered thought, though.
Yeah. The other stuff isn't that interesting. But
So
I do
you
want, it
really-
navigates me through here. I mean, I think about, hey, I've got to get to the airport, and now I'm going to do that, and this and that.
So stuff still comes up, but it's just not
Constantly.
worried, like, it's just not like, you don't get your teeth into it.
I tell you, I think it's got more flavor now than ever. I think it was lazy in the past. It had me so easy. It wasn't pulling out its big guns. Now it's really a good production sometimes.
That's because
And my body's been going through unbelievable shit.
Like what?
I can't even describe it. Tons of stuff. I mean, last night the energy was it just freaking tore through me afterwards. And in my dreams last night, I had a lot of heavy, different dreams, and just a lot of different feelings and energies moving through. Yeah, I don't know if everyone's like that, but I get whacked at times. And then when I was doing it earlier, I used to get whacked bad. Any part of my body that wasn't in good shape would be amplified after a talk. Yeah. Last night there was just so much energy in that room in different levels. Yeah, and because you're like the fulcrum, you're sitting there, a lot of stuff is moving towards at you, and it enters. Not obviously that it enters this, you know, brain and body, and man, you can get whacked pretty good, you know, as this. Yeah.
I'm sorry to laugh.
It's draining.
Well, it's a lot of things.
Well, you wouldn't have felt that 20 years ago, though.
Not at all. Fuck. It's totally out cold. Now, I tell you, now I know why you'd like to be out cold. To feel a lot of the physical sensations, especially as you're older and stuff, isn't that much fun, so to speak. There's a lot of shit's going on. I got a hernia now and everything's happening. It's crazy. So, I need to take care of myself a little bit at times. And you'll learn as you go. Especially in alcoholic people, because there's a lot of energy in alcoholic mind, different like some not so nice stuff comes through. Like in shamanism, they would say alcoholics are like just Swiss cheese. All these different energies are moving through this apparatus and acting through them all the time. Yeah, I've seen people appear, giant dark heads, like a spirit type head over a woman, and just hate pouring out, trying to suck all the energy up the room. Yeah, I've had a lot of.
Was any of that last night?
No. There were some people that weren't. Their minds were very. So, but this lady flipped me out because I knew her. She was an old woman, and she used to come to the meetings in the city. Then this one night, she started at the end of the meeting, and I could tell. I usually can tell when there's like a hot spot, something's happening. So I go, I shouldn't call her on to ask a question. I was going to pass by her. I said, all right, so I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. Okay, what is it? And then she went on this whole hypothetical. What would you do if you were married? And then and then this thing came out of her, and she sucked the whole energy out of the room. She was just, the thing was feeding off of the energy. Like this. And so I jumped up on the table, and I, like Manjuri, I was going to cut her head off. with a spiritual sword. I did. I said, she was just going off, man. Really weird. She was totally possessed. It's an incredible vision to see. And everyone felt it. I mean, people feel it. I mean, we've had some wild meetings in San Francisco. Really heavy stuff sometimes. Yeah.
I've seen ghosts when I was small.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that.
Oh, there's a lot going on here that people aren't seeing. It's not real, but it's a lot going on. I mean, we're taking this as the only unreal meal, you know? There's a lot of unreals going on, yeah. Let's take a break. Yeah, but go, ask me.